Wherever you survive, you can thrive. And wherever you be authentically, you can become alive. So, I'm back, baby. I'm back. Ooh. I was about to go into some Austin Powers right there. But yeah, it's been a long time. I'm in a new place. A lot of stuff has happened. Been recalibrating. But I'm in a new place. Got a new setup. I've got a lot of brand new ideas. Some old and developed some brand new ideas. And they are coming your way ASAP. So it's going to be the same content: personal development, self improvement, purpose, vision, direction, maybe even some business sales mixed in to all of that as well. However, well, over the next few weeks, I'm going to take you through um, this entire process. I'm going to change things up a bit. Informational content. I'll let you guys into my world a little bit more and learn about what it is that I've actually learned about. And yeah, it's going to be long form content exactly like this, one on one, to YouTube, of course, Instagram, and then of course, if you're subscribed to my mailing list, I'm going to be sending out weekly. You can call them blogs about what it is that I'm currently learning, what it is that's currently on my mind, and how it is I'm working through these things, or things that I've previously worked through before as well. So I thought it would be good to hit a reset, so to speak. And by that, I mean go back and start at the beginning of my journey. And I won't yet recreate my story for you. However, what I'll do is be leading you through the most transformative bits of information, actionable steps, and knowledge that I've received, gained, and also coached as well to my clients. One of the most significant, or should I say, my first ever coach, my first ever mentor, called himself Jack. And Jack was not spelled Jack or Jak. It was spelled JAQ, standing for Just Ask Questions. He used to say, and I've heard it from Jim Rohn as well, that the quality of your life depends on the quality of questions that you ask yourself. And if you're watching this, I know you're definitely like me, very contemplative, very thoughtful, very in your head at times. And that took me by storm because it made me think and it made me take a look at uh, life differently. And the questions that I was asking myself didn't really lead me anywhere. I asked a big question, and the question that had currently been stumping me my whole entire life, which is, what is a life worth living? And the funny thing is about questions is that we're all asking them. However, some people are asking the questions in a different form. They're asking the questions as a matter of chasing something. Some people would answer that question or ask that question of what is a life worth living through the actions of gaining more status, impressing parents, impressing friends, making money, um, going on these pursuits because of the thought that that is what will make a life worth living. The problem is with those thoughts and those ideas is that obtaining those things are all a means to an end. What do I mean by that? Obtaining wealth is a tick box exercise. Once you have the wealth, then what? Um, Pleasing your family and friends. Once you make them happy, then what? They're going to be upset with you the next day. Um, Seeking relationships to ease your loneliness. It's all a means to an end. Because once you have that person and you're just with that person getting on with your life, what does that really mean for you? For some, you're lucky, you've got the skills to deal with it and the perseverance to take it on. But for most, especially in this dating climate, don't really have the tools it takes to be with someone, leading to fulfilling that gap of loneliness, and then thinking that's not the right person for you, and then moving on to the next person. Again, a means to an end. And in most cases, what is actually lost is something that is untangible. It can't be touched, and it can never be recouped. Yet we're all using it, like, all the time. And yes, it is time. What ends up happening is you gain more anxiety, asking yourself, will you reach your next goal? Some people will neglect their health in pursuit of a goal. All in all, what tends to happen is people becoming obsessed with ideas that don't actually serve them. People becoming obsessed with ideas that depreciate their health, depreciate their finances, depreciate the way that they view the world. You know, some people end up being nihilistic, meaning that they end up thinking that there is no point, no purpose. And as a result of there being no point or no purpose, become destructive, self-deprecating, drinking, drugs, alcohol. And then for others, they love bomb. They work so hard at work only to realize at 50 that their job doesn't define who it is that they are. Listen, I'm not an expert yet, but as I said, I'll share with you from my experience what it is that I've learned, what it is that I use, and also what it is that I help my clients with when it comes to starting their journey on a life that they would love to live. One of the most important key concepts that I learned from a great guy called Werner Erhard is to look at your life not from the lens of a psychological assessment. I'll repeat that again. To not look at your life from a psychological assessment perspective. And as I understand what he meant is that a psychological assessment looks at your life as if there is something wrong. So you go to the doctors, you say, I'm feeling ABCD, and they say, oh, you feel ABCD, so you have this, and this is really bad for your concentration, this is really bad for your health, this is really bad for your focus. And looking at your life from that context, and only that context, leads to you making yourself wrong, disliking yourself, thinking that you may have something wrong with you, like you don't fit in, like you're an abnormal human being, you're an alien. And to be fair, if you're watching this, you probably are an abnormal human being / alien, but that's not the point. Look at your life as psychological assessment is assessing your life from the point of view that there is something right and there's something wrong with the way that you do things when it comes to your growth, personal development, and overall discovering a life that you would actually love to live. So if it's not a psychological assessment, how or what would I recommend? What is it that I do? I look at my life as a philosophical assessment. Again, Werner Erhard, from the same seminar that I watched for Werner Erhard. I look at my life from a philosophical assessment. And what a philosophical assessment means to me, and as I understand it, is looking at my life as an inquiry, as an ongoing, never-ending assessment of curiosity, looking towards myself, looking towards my life, my actions and my results, as not as something that is wrong, but as something that previous actions, choices and decisions that I've made have led to this result. And that result sometimes may be good, sometimes may be bad, sometimes may be good, sometimes may be shit, right? And accepting that, being present to that, and just being able to look at my life as what it is, as it is, as it is. It is what it is, bro. And being able to look at my life in that manner, in that aspect, in that way, because it removes a lot of judgment. It removes a lot of make wrong, and it removes a lot of make wrong from myself, because it gives me the freedom, it gives me the space, it gives me the insight to look at my life as that isn't working, whereas other people look at it and say that's wrong, that's messed up, it's the end of the world. I look at it as, oh, yeah, that is a bit long. I did just put myself in this situation because of I didn't communicate to this person appropriately, or I forgot to do something, or I was being lazy, whatever it is, right? And that philosophical assessment allows me just to get to the root of it and be very honest with myself and also everyone else around me. And what comes with that honesty is an ability to look at my life objectively, honestly, and it also gives me power to be able to deal with it, because I am a firm believer that the human condition is to mess up. The human condition is to absolutely mess up. The human condition is to fuck up, okay? And that's okay. And me understanding that, and also looking at my life as a philosophical assessment rather than a psychological assessment, allows me the breadth, the space, the opportunity to look at my life as, well, I'm eventually going to fuck up somewhere, so how best can I potentially stop myself from doing that? And if I do that, what happened? So looking at my life through the lens of a philosophical assessment, I would say has brought me a lot of peace, has brought me a lot of clarity, has brought me purpose, has brought me a sense of pride, and also a shamelessness that I've been able to remove myself through understanding that the human condition is to fuck up. And I'll definitely do a later video about shamelessness, shame, and where that arose from in me, how I got rid of it, and how I also support my clients remove that shame from themselves. But ultimately, it comes from how we have been asking the question, what is a life worth living? I think what's also important with what I've been saying is that it's also allowed me to become open and perceptive to ideas. It's also allowed me to really, really, really take in information from other people, and start enjoying my life. As a psychological assessment, as I said, life comes to you as this is right and this is wrong. This is the only way to do it, or not. And as many of you probably experience, it's not really how it plays out for you. For some reason, you have a chip on your shoulder, an insight, a curiosity, a yearning to learn, to understand, to figure out the secrets of the world, the secrets of the universe, the secret of what it means to live a life that you really actually care about, some of you, obviously, it's the secret. Some of you, it's just like what really matters to you the most. And as a philosophical assessment, you learn not to judge yourself, and you also learn not to judge you learn not to judge yourself for your thoughts, choices, and opinions. And you also learn to not judge other people for not liking your thoughts, judgments, and opinions. And the reason why we do that, or should I say most people do that, is because we've all grown up in a certain culture that influences our behavior. We've listened to a certain style of music that influences our behavior. We've watched a certain style of TV that's influenced our behavior. We've been with a certain type of parent, or a certain type of parents, or certain type of siblings, or certain type of family members, or certain type of friends that have influenced our behaviors, that have influenced and imprinted their points of view, their ideas of the world onto you. And if you're looking at your life as a philosophical assessment, quick, nice little hack here. If you're looking at your life as a philosophical assessment, you won't see that as something wrong. You'll see that as they have been teaching you something about life. You've been picking up lessons for them. And at this point you're at, as you're watching this video, as you're listening to me and hopefully reading amazing books and listening to amazing other amazing people on the internet, is that their model of how to live life doesn't fit your soul blueprint. It doesn't fit it. And that's okay. Some of the things that they've taught you definitely fits your blueprint, but it doesn't fit your entire blueprint, and that's perfectly fine. So far, I've come across so many ways to rejig my Rubik's Cube of a life, right? So if my life was a Rubik's Cube, I've tried so many different ways to go to figure out what is the combination that I prefer the most. I've tried many combinations and many combinations work. And I'm just going to share with you the combination of figuring out the combination that worked best for me when I figured out my Rubik's Cube. And by doing this, you will be so far gone on your journey to actually become alive and live a life that you'd actually love to live. I have 5 core distinctions that I will be taking you through over the next couple of weeks or months. And those 5 core distinctions are your grand vision, fearlessness, eliminating hindering beliefs, harmony, and anchoring systems. All of those 5 elements are a key component in a way that you can actually really start to live a life that you'd love to live and really get out there on your journey to performing, to being the best version of yourself. I think what's also, and then I also have some more, but let's start focusing on getting you in to the journey and getting you ready to go. What is your grand vision, right? So your grand vision is your ability to start creating a vision for your life. And I don't mean creating a vision for your life as other people mean creating a vision for your life, such as what is it that you want to do in the future? What type of house would you like to have? How successful would you like to be? And all of these other things. That's not what I'm that's not what I mean by your grand vision. What I mean by your grand vision is you discovering who it is that you want to be, that will allow you to live a life that you'd love to live. What do I mean by that? What do I mean by who do I want to be? Washington, I want to be rich, successful, famous, and incredibly ripped. Or Washington, I just want someone to love me. Or Washington, I just want to live in the forest and get on with my life. That's not what I mean by what is it that you want to be. What I mean is, what type of person would you have to become to be able to find love, become successful, trust yourself? What are the characteristics? What are the principles? What are the types of decisions and choices that the person you would like to be have? That is what I mean by a grand vision, because if you have the characteristics, principles, and values of the person that is successful in the future, surely that means that you're going to be stepping into, or as I've heard before, surely that's going to be the future that you're going to live into, rather than hoping for it to arrive on your doorstep one day. So your grand vision is what I've used to really be able to bring that person in the future to today. And it's only a few steps. Before I ever spoke to Jack, or should I say just ask questions, my grand vision wasn't so clear. My purpose even wasn't so clear. I was just floating around, wanting to impress my friends, wanting to be successful, being the biggest people pleaser you've ever met in your whole entire existence. And you know what's so funny is that so many people would actually say, "Yeah, bro, that's so hard. That's a noble pursuit. Get that money, boo. Like you're doing all the great things. You're doing all the right things." And you know what? I partly agree with them. Like, yeah, I'm being enterprising and being entrepreneurial. Yeah, you know, when you're doing things from a space of, I'm gonna say desperation, from a space of just ickiness, bro. You know, when you're just doing things from a space of just like, oh, neediness sometimes, or over pressurizing yourself sometimes, or in a way that's not authentic. Number one, you are most likely to repel that away from you. Number two, you're definitely going to learn some lessons. During that process you feel like crap. You feel as if you're unworthy, and you feel shameful. At least I did, you know. And as I said, I'll share my how it is I came to be doing this, or why it is I want to coach people and support people to become confident, stronger, confident, happier, and braver. Um, another day. But yeah, that's essentially it in a nutshell, you know. Um, and the funny thing is like when I discovered, or should I say, when I unearthed my grand vision, and the reason why I changed it from discover to unearth is because I actually went looking for what my vision was, what my values were, what my principles were, and I discovered I have loads. Number one. Number two is that they're quite frequently changing in order of what's most important to me, and also that they're not emotions. And that's a strange one because I would have thought something like happiness could have been a value. And it can be something I care about, but I genuinely don't think it can be a value because it's a emotion that's fleeting and not necessarily tangible, that you have no apparent control over. It's only something that you can glimpse or grab or declare. Whereas the principles and values I'm talking about really lie in the realm of action, lie in the realm of performance. So I found my principles, or should I say my grand vision, or should I say my values, to be along the lines of integrity, love, family, humor, courage, friendship, enjoyment, and the list can go on and on and on. And I want to challenge you to start on the journey to discovering the life that you would love to live, and ultimately start on the journey on becoming alive, thriving, you know, rather than surviving monotonously going through the motions of the world. You know, I have a challenge for you, and I can guarantee you that if you complete the challenge, you will see your life completely differently, and you also have the strength and the courage and the determination to take steps. And I'm gonna make it easy for you. I'm not gonna make it hard. I'm gonna make it easy for you because I made it easy for myself, and quite frankly, it took me quite some time. So because I had to figure all this stuff out. So here's the shortcut. I challenge you to write down at least 20 values, 20 things that you actually care about yourself. And these are things that only you can do unto others, right? Things that you have control over. It's not about saying, I want to be respected. No, because you can't demand respect of other people, right? But what you do value in that is respect. I want you to think about the things in your life other than food, money, shelter. I want you to think about the things in your life that truly, 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 truly matter the most to you. Because if you can discover the things that truly matter to you, you start to see what you want your life to look like. So that's number one. Now, as soon as you write those values down, those 20 values down, what I want you to do is score them out of 10. So score them out of 10 as in a 1 out of 10 would mean that you're very unsatisfied with this value, meaning that it's not showing up in your life a lot. You're not taking action on that value a lot. And 10 being, I am so satisfied with this value. I do it every single day, every single moment. I don't flop. By the way, this exercise only works if you're honest with yourself. Yeah, I should have said that. But now you know. If you gotta change those numbers, change those numbers. Now that you've listed and rated your values, what I'd like you to do is circle all of the values that are at a 7 or below. At a 7 or below. And the reason why I say 7 is because for some reason, a lot of people see 7 as mediocre, when 7 is above half. But anything that's a 7, circle it. And what I'd really, really love for you to do for this part is I'd like you to either vividly imagine what your life would look like 5 years from now, if those scores that are at 7 or below were to stay the same or reduce. Just ask yourself that. If you're not the imagining type, what I'd like you to do is write it down and be as clear and be as vivid as you possibly can. Really, really connect to that emotion of you living a life that way. If you value relationships and your relationships are at 5 right now, and you really either love the person you're with or you don't love the person you're with, what does that relationship look like at your level of satisfaction being a 5 in 3 years' time, in 7 years' time, in 5 years' time? Really get nitty gritty and in detail about that, and do that with everything that is a 7 or below. Now, secondly, or maybe thirdly, I'm not sure, I've lost count. What I'd like you to do next is to take those exact scores that are at 7 or below, write down as clearly, as vividly, or even imagine as clearly or as vividly as you possibly can what they would look like, what your life would look like if your score went from a 3 to a 10, if your score went from a 7 to a 9, if your score went from a 7 to a 10, a 5 to a 8, a 6 to a 9, whatever it is. What would your life look like if your scores increased? And again, get super granular, get super vivid, and really, really get uptight and personal with what your scores will look like. Now, once you have that, you should have gone on an emotional roller coaster by now. If you haven't, so be it. You should have at least minimal clarity on where your life is potentially heading and where your life could possibly go. By you, all you fulfilling on that which matters to you the most, which are your values. Now, lastly, what I'd love for you to do is ask yourself, what practical things can you start to do to increase your score? Now, this is where I think I lose a lot of people. In the context of, in the terms of that, if you take on a challenge that's too big, what tends to happen is you won't continue with the challenges because you just see a huge mountain. However, what Wim Hof said when he was climbing Mount Everest in his shorts was that it wasn't that hard. It was just one step at a time. So I'd like to introduce to you a solution, a method that I use called 15 percentile solutions, which I stole part of it from a liberating structure called 15 percentile solutions, which means that look at the actions that you could possibly take, and don't take a big 100% massive mammoth style challenge. Take a tiny 15% ant style action towards that value in which you care about, and then do that for another value, and then do that for another value, and then do that for another value, and then just keep on taking 15%. Because what the 15% will allow you to do is that they'll allow you to have power, they'll allow you to have strength, they'll allow you to build momentum, build confidence, build strength, build power, build trust within yourself. But if you take too big of a challenge, if you take on something that you can't chew, then you will most likely be demotivated, or you just won't complete the task. You won't get the end result that you desire, which is to become the person that you want to be in the future and fulfill your grand vision and start creating the life that you'd love to live. However, by following these steps, you will be well on your way to start living the life that you'd love to live. And that's only because you'll be a lot clearer on the type of person that you'd want to be. You become a lot clearer on who it is that you'd like to become, and you'd give yourself the access to start looking at your life as a philosophical assessment. You would have given yourself access to look at your life not as something that's wrong, but as an experiment, as a game, as something that can be conquered, as something that can be developed, as something that can be grown, as something that can be cherished, rather than something that is either right or wrong. Now, if you want to go more in depth with these questions, with your values, with your grand vision, I've linked in the bio my free course on this exact topic. I'll take you through more in-depth exercises on exactly how to accomplish extracting your values out of yourself. And of course, if you want to chat to me, links in the bio as well. As always, wherever you survive, you can thrive. And wherever you be, authentically, you can become alive. Take care.